People say, I am the best boss. They go, God, we've never worked in a place like this before. And you get the best out of us. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Hey there, welcome to the very first episode of Good Boss, Bad Boss. I'm Joey, and in this intro episode, I want to share why I started this podcast, who it's for, what it's about, and what I hope it will bring to anyone listening. Let's get started. So the idea of the podcast came to me quite some time ago when I was really struggling with a bad boss. I was really stressed out. I couldn't sleep. It was hard for me to go to work, or I would be stressed before going into a meeting. And that's when I started to realize how much our bosses affect our lives, our mental health, our physical health, your career, so your financial future. All those things are really tied to your bosses. And I think a lot of people feel the same, and we don't talk about these things. I'm Joey. I'm your host. I am an expat in Paris. So I moved from Hong Kong to Paris 10 years ago, and I've been working in the tech startup scene ever since. And I feel like in the startup world, things move really quickly. You change jobs. If you're a high achiever and you perform pretty well, you get promoted to become bosses. But because of how quickly things move, there are like practically no managerial training. Nobody tells you what to do. And people assume that because you've been performing well as an individual contributor, you're going to be a good boss, which is completely a lie because it's completely two different skill set and it's two separate jobs. And I wish that there were more guidance and, more discussions around how to be a good boss and how do you deal with all these different situations. And so I really created the show for myself, for me to think more about these things, for me to talk to people about these things. It's more like a therapy session in public. And I think that right now is a good time to start this conversation. Post-pandemic, people are thinking about like hybrid work, remote work, what their priorities are in their lives, how much they want to give to their work life versus their personal lives, and what's important to us, and also the kind of workplace we want to work for. I think a lot of people might have had the same experience of when you have a bad boss and you are just stressed in going into those meetings and you couldn't sleep the night before and you just dread going to work. Our bosses affect us so much, but nobody's talking about these things. And then also, I became a boss myself and I realized how hard it is. And there are so many things that nobody taught me and things I wish I knew. And so I was like, okay, there's so much to uncover here on this topic. And there's so much I want to say, so much I want to learn as well. Good Boss, Bad Boss is not, management tip podcast. It's more a no filter, judgment-free zone where people can just explain or share their own stories, talk about what it's really like to be a boss or to have good or bad bosses, all about the emotional side of things. And also a little bit of demystifying what it means to be a boss, because I think we have ideas and images of what a boss should look like or should act like. But in reality, it comes in different forms. Because we don't talk about these things, we think we're the only ones feeling them. And we think, oh my God, I'm the only one with imposter syndrome. I'm the only one who's struggling and being confused and just pretending to know what I'm doing, when everybody's pretending to know what they're doing and nobody knows how it all works. So I want people to feel less alone. Some of these thoughts that we have running through our heads, and maybe liberate ourselves as well. And to really redefine what being a manager, being a boss can look like. Potentially finding inspiration and perspective to think and act differently. And also finding a community of people who feel the same and want to lead with more awareness and more consciousness, more empathy. In each episode, I will talk to a guest who are self-aware, bosses or managers, or even employees who are thinking about becoming a boss or have a lot of thoughts about their bosses and just want to kind of open up a dialogue of, can we go beyond just the professional facade and talk about the emotional side of things? I will ask them about their boss journey, how they became a boss, what they've struggled with as they went on their boss journey, what they've learned, hard lessons. We need to talk more about emotional intelligence. We need to talk about how people are feeling, especially now we're working from home. And the personal and the professional is just all mixed together. And if we don't talk about this whole elephant in the room, then we're just not operating at our full potential. And I had this idea of having a secret inbox where people can send voice memos anonymously to kind of rant about their bad bosses or, people in their team, their own experience that they're not comfortable sharing publicly. So if you have a story or something you want to share, feel free to leave me a voice memo. Link is in the description, and I might include it in the coming episodes. So that's what Good Boss, Bad Boss is all about. It's about exploring these questions together, understanding ourselves and others, and celebrating our uniqueness. It's about knowing that being ourselves is not only possible, but crucial in the journey to becoming better bosses. If that sounds good to you, stick around. New episodes are coming next week. And if you like what you heard and want to support the podcast, subscribe and share with someone you think will enjoy it. It honestly means the world to me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye!